Hi, this is Terry Clark from faithandfit.org. Welcome to my journey to 100. Hi, health warriors. So this week I had a really weird week. Um, I started off the week at 165 pounds. I finished the week at 173 pounds. These types of things happen, but it was a little weird for me. Now, it brought me to a very interesting question. And this question um, kind of deals with principles or theories or laws around which weightlifting, fitness, health, muscle building kind of should swim. So everybody should have those kind of foundations. Okay, one of the foundations that I anchor my entire health and fitness, weight management journey around is 3,500. It takes 3,500 calories to make a pound of muscle or fat. So if let's just round it to an even 10 pounds. So let's say hypothetically, if I did gain 10 pounds this week, well, 10 times 3,500 would mean that I would have had to have eaten an additional 35,000 calories, and there's no way in the world that could have happened. Now, what that does is that causes me to look at a different law or a different rule as it relates to weight management. So, how do we gain weight? Okay, so we can gain weight four different ways. We can gain fat, we can gain muscle, uh, bone even weighs, so we can gain weight through bone density. And the last way is water. So water is going to be the cheapest and the easiest way to gain weight. And so I'm positive that that is what happened this week, that I actually put on a lot of water weight. Now, how did that happen? Well, water weight comes from, two or three different processes. Okay, one, you can just drink a lot of water, drink more water than what you need. Another one is electrolytes like sodium. You can eat foods that have sodium in it, like sausage, bacon, uh, sprinkle a lot of salt on the food, and that will make you uh, retain water as well. And then finally, which I think is the culprit for my weight gain this week, is going to be the creatine. So creatine monohydrate is a supplement that you can take that will help you get more muscular. But in addition to helping you get more muscular, it's also going to cause you to hold on to water or retain water. And so I think that's what kind of happened to me this week. Now, that brought up an interesting uh, dis- decision that I had to make, based upon that. And that is, well, if my weight's going to be fluctuating based upon water weight, are there other ways that I can measure my results so that I'm not going on this wild, crazy roller coaster ride, once a month or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, that kind of thing. Okay, so you guys know about the scale, and this is a smart scale, and this is a scale that I use to track things, but it's not the only measurement tool that you can use to track your results. Okay, so one of the things that I decided to do this week was this right here is another way you can measure things. This is like a little tape measurer here. Okay, and so there are a lot of important measurements that can be gained from this tape measure and understanding about how your body's handling weight management. Okay, so I measured my bust, which is around my chest, shoulders, and back area. I definitely measured my waist in two places. I measured it below my navel, my belly button, and I measured it right at my belly button. Now, another thing I did was I also measured my biceps, okay, and I measured my thighs as well. So getting all those different measurements in means that, I'm gonna get a more accurate picture of what's going on with muscle um, and and fat on that regard. Another tool I use, this is called a fat caliper right here. You can take this little thing right here, and it's digital, okay, and just take it and just clip it on to everywhere you've got muscle and fat, and pinch it and see how much fat you can pinch. Okay, so there's nothing in my bicep right here. And so like if I go right here to my chest and I pinch like that, there's just skin there as well. But down here, my stomach area, there's going to be a little bit more. Now I'm about 15%, 16% body fat, and it looks that way. And according to the measurements that I've taken and looked at, that's what a lot of the systems are saying as well. A lot of the calculations are saying that I'm around 15 to 16%. The scale puts me on a little bit more. I don't really pay attention to the scale that much because what the scale ends up doing is it ends up taking an average. Okay, so the scale, you can tell a scale how tall you are, but the scale doesn't know where the weight is being distributed. Like it doesn't realize that weight is being distributed across the chest, okay, across the biceps, across the shoulders. I'm a mesomorph, okay, and so mesomorphs are muscular people by nature. I got big arms, big shoulders, okay, big back. Always have had that kind of stuff, okay. So the scale doesn't know that, and so but the measuring tape knows that. Okay, and so what I do is I take all these measurements, and then I don't have to perform the calculations myself. We're living in a world where we got something called AI, artificial intelligence, where you can take your numbers and put them into AI, and then AI will tell you, what your percentage of body fat is, what your ratio of hip to waist ratio is, what your bust or chest to waist ratio is, and those ratios are very important. Okay, because the one across your bust and the one across your waist is going to let you know whether you've got that V tape or not, that a lot of guys seem to want to like. When I looked at my bust or my entire chest and shoulder ratio to waist ratio, one of the things that I found was that it was like 1.5. And so the ideal is 1.6. So I'm a little bit off there. Now you can get that two ways. You can either, you know, pick up another additional unit across the chest and the shoulders, make the chest a little bit more wider, or you can narrow down the waist a little bit and get it that way. So either way, because it's a ratio, it's comparing the chest to the waist, and so if one gets bigger, it's going to affect that rate or that ratio between those two things. Okay, guys, so let's see how this works with AI. So here are my measurements from MyFitnessPal. I kind of just put them in right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this stuff. I'm going to put my weight into and just highlight all these sections right here. Copy it, just like that. And I'm going to go right over here. And this is ChatGPT here. Okay, and so I'm just going to go in here and say, provide my body fat 5% and any other important uh, weight management metrics for good health and fitness. I am 58 years of age, and here are my numbers. Nice thing about ChatGPT is you don't have to be right. And, I'm not promoting ChatGPT. You can use Bard or Gemini. Any of them will do the same thing. Okay, now I'm just going to hit Command V, and that's going to paste all these numbers in here. Okay, so if you kind of look, see all those numbers have been pasted in just like that. And I'm just going to hit the enter button like that. And it's going to spit out me some information. It's going to say based upon the data that you provide, weight management essentials. It's going to give me my height, okay, which it kind of already knows my height. So, and there it goes. It gives me my body fat percentage, 15.6%, based upon U.S. Navy methods. It's telling me that my lean muscle mass is 146. And that's probably why I have so many problems when I start getting down to 164, 165, getting below that number, because my muscle is 146. My body's simply not wanting to get by. And look at that BMI, it's 28.8. That's high. And so we have to be mindful of that. But I ignore that because of the way I'm structured. Okay, it's going to give me some really important numbers here. See, these waist to hip ratios there. Interpretation is going to let me know what goes on here. Ideal 11 to 17%. So I'm in the fitness range. It's telling me other stuff right here. I'm classified as overweight is what it's going to tell you. But it's also going to say that's misleading for muscular individuals. Uh, your high lean body mass confirms this is likely due to muscle, not fat. And you guys have seen me, so you know it is due to muscle, not fat. Right there, waist to height ratio, waist to hip. There's a lot of waist to whatever ratios there are out there. And so um, it's going to provide me with an analysis at the end. You are in excellent shape for your age with a lean body mass, health, low risk. You're hitting elite level stats for someone 58 years old, keeping your waist under 32 inches, body fat under 17%, and continual resistance training will preserve muscle, boost metabolism. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, and then right here, it's going to make something else for me. So it'll try to help me think through this process. Would you like recommendations on how to reduce body fat slightly further or maintain your current fitness? So this is a gold mine for how you can reach your health and fitness goals. You don't need a certified fitness trainer or a nutritionist or a dietitian or any of that stuff. You can use AI to manage your health if you provide it with the information. All right, guys, so let's get back to our conversation on my journey to 100. Now, in addition to looking at body measurements, it got me to thinking about food as well. And so, we have to measure everything, not just the body, but we also have to measure food. Okay, you guys know I love, measuring utensils like these. They help me out with things like oatmeal. Even if I'm going to drink something, I want to make sure I get the right measurements, especially when I'm going ham, uh, when I'm going 100 on something, okay, when I'm going psycho or ballistic, then I want to measure to the T. And then also this little scale right here. So I'm going to be using a multi-process on the food. I'm using a multi-process on my body weight, and I'm using a multi-process on my exercise. So I'm tracking all three things. It's important that you track your stuff, okay, if you're trying to get better health and better fitness. I think the most important thing to track is the food, though, because you are what you eat. So you definitely want to track that. Make sure you stay on top of it. Okay. I encourage you guys to use AI on this stuff. Now, you can get a certified fitness trainer, certified nutritionist, but if you don't have that kind of money and you want to know what's going on, then you can collect the data yourself and just drop it into AI and say, hey, okay, these are my numbers. This is what I've collected. Tell me what it means. And that's a good way of doing things. Now, as far as my happiness this month or this week, as far as my happiness for this week, notice I shaved my face. So I'm always trying new things. That's the key to being happy, trying new things. Remember, life is a journey. Okay? It's about exploring. It's about adventure. It's about seeing and doing new things. Well, if you keep things the same all the time, you can't be on a new journey. They can't be exploring and it can't be adventurous. And calling something exploring and adventurous doesn't make it so. So you need to be trying new things. Try new things with your diet. Try new things with your appearance, with your hair and stuff, with your facial. And men and women both can do that. Okay, men do it a little different than women. Try changing up on your workout. Okay, one of the things that I did this week is I started adding a little bit more cardio body function stuff. So I kind of hit the treadmill for about 5 minutes. Then I did some boxing for about 3 minutes. And then I did some jump rope for about 3 minutes. And so it was like right behind each other. I did that. And just trying new things kind of get you excited because you don't really know what's going to happen next. You haven't done it before. You're not familiar with it. And so that kind of excitement just adds to value and keeps you going and keeps you motivated, keeps you engaged. So that's the process this week. I've not abandoned the scale. I'm still going to continue to use the scale, but I know that the scale does not tell the full story about my weight management, my diet, and my fitness for the week. And so what I decided to do is use different storytellers, use different things to tell the story and how things are going on. And I'm not just using these measurements here. I'm also considering what I've done food wise this week. Okay, I did start eating more vegetables in addition to eating pork and sausage. I eat sausage and pork this week. I like it. I don't eat it all the time, but I did start eating that. Taking on the more fruits and vegetables means that I'm going to take on more water because you can drink that water, but you can also eat it too. About fruits and vegetables have about 90% and above. And some fruit, like I ate watermelon a lot this week. Some fruit, like watermelon, it's 95, 96, 97% water. Okay, and if you're taking things like sodium, which is what the sausage and the bacon has in it, and you're doing things like creatine, those things are going to retain that water. Okay, now I got some options. I could just say, hey, listen, I could cut out the creatine, I could bring the sodium back in, or I can just bring down the amount of fruits and vegetables that I'm eating that's going to cause me to store more water in addition to everything I'm drinking liquid wise. All right, guys, so excited about my journey to 100. It was an adventurous week. Things got a little rocky, like a roller coaster, up and down kind of thing. Was not expecting to get on the scale and weigh 173 pounds, especially from 165. Wasn't expecting that. But that's where facts and science and math comes in at to help explain what actually happened. So a lot of people will be discouraged and think maybe they put on a bunch of muscle or think they put on a bunch of fat. You just can't put on that kind of muscle and fat that fast, considering you need 3,500 calories just to put on a pound. Putting on 7 pounds like that, you're talking about over 22,000, 23,000 calories. And given that I was eating around 1,800, 2,000 calories a day, there's just nowhere in the world you can get to those kind of calories. Now, I know people, they say 2,000 times 7 is 14,000. That's a big mistake because at the end of the day, we're talking calorie surplus. So a person my size, working out, jogging, running, lifting, I'm probably doing about 2,500 calories in terms of total daily energy. So if I ate, say, 2,000 calories and I'm doing 2,500, that's actually a calorie deficit every day. At the very least, if I'm not counting the condiments correctly, if I'm not counting the barbecue sauce or the ketchup or, the salad dressing, if I'm not counting that correctly, or even the creamer that goes in the coffee. And the reason why I bring those things up is because they're small, but they have a lot of calories in them. Those things typically have about 75 calories for a tablespoon. So that's a lot. And it's easy to mismeasure things when they're that small, but they have a significant account toward the calories at 75 to 100 calories for just a little tablespoon of something like that. So if that stuff is not happening, and even if it was happening, it's not going to be enough. So that's where understanding the math and science means that I'm not going to get worried about what went down or how it happened, and also I'm less likely to let someone else fool me. Okay, because I know what the numbers are and what the numbers have to be, and so I understand what happens. I'm least likely to go out there and be like, oh, I got to go get somebody to help me get this weight off of me, or oh, let me go buy a workout program, or let me go get this diet, or go get this supplement because what I'm doing is not working. Okay, the stuff I'm doing is working just fine, and so understanding those numbers, and more importantly, understanding the story behind the numbers, understanding what happened and why it happened. I know I compounded that with drinking more drinks. I went to cranberry juice. I went to pomegranate juice. Okay. And I also went to beet juice as well. Those kind of juices, they all have the same thing in common for guys that are over 50. If you're a guy over 50, you probably know what I'm talking about when it comes down to beet juice, pomegranate juice, and cranberry juice. All that stuff is going to help with your reproduction system, and it's going to help with your urinary tract as well. So those things, when you need to tend to that kind of stuff, you got to tend to it. Okay. So I know I was doing that. In addition to the juices, I started having more fruits and vegetables. It's summertime. I'm going to enjoy that stuff. So I know that stuff is going to put more water back into these good old muscles right here. But I also know that I'm a muscular person. And when I get on the scale and the scale's telling me I'm fat, I know that's a lie. I am not fat. I can look at my body. Okay, you guys can look at my body. Common sense tells us that I am not fat, that I'm a muscular person, and therefore, that kind of stuff has to be taken into consideration. The math and the science cannot be ignored, because the math and the science is going to lead to common sense and going to help us to understand or marry, the numbers with common sense and really what is transpiring, muscle fat wise or otherwise. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up today on my journey to 100. If you like this kind of content, or if you're a person that wants to go along on this journey because you're trying to make it to 100 as well, okay, we just want to share and talk about what's going on. Okay, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also visit my website at faithandfit.org. Okay, to get articles and to get workout and diet plans that can help you reach your goals better. We also got some calculators on there that show you how to put these numbers together to get better results as well. Definitely subscribe. If you like this video, click the like. In addition, if you've got a comment and you just want to share something, definitely drop it in the comment section below. All right, you guys, be blessed. Remember what I always say. They may be faster than you. They may be stronger than you. They may even be bigger than you. But never, and I do mean never, let them outwork you. All right, you guys, be blessed. Have a great Sunday.